Hello, everybody. This is Anna Karenina by Leo Tolstoy. Part 3, Chapter 17. The company which was to meet at the Princess Tverskaya's, where Anna was invited, was made up of 2 ladies and their adorers. These 2 ladies were the leading representatives of a new and exclusive coterie in Petersburg, and called an imitation of an imitation les Sept Merveilles du Monde. Both of them belonged to the highest society, but to a circle absolutely hostile to that in which Anna moved. The old Stremov, one of the influential men of the city, and Liza Merkalova's lover, belonged to the faction hostile to Alexey Alexandrovitch. Anna, on account of this hostility, did not care to go to Betsy's, and therefore declined her invitation. But now she decided to go, hoping to find Vronsky there. She reached the Princess Tverskaya's before the other guests. The moment that she arrived, Vronsky's valet, whom, with his curly whiskers, might have been taken for a kammerjunker, was at the door, and, raising his cap, he stepped aside to let her pass. When she saw him, she remembered that Vronsky had told her that he was not coming, and judged that he had sent his excuses. As she was taking off her wraps in the hall, she heard the valet, who rolled his R's like a kammerjunker, say, "From the Count to the Princess." It occurred to her to ask him where the Baron was. It occurred to her to go back and write him a note, asking him to come to her, or to go and find him herself. But she could not follow out any of these plans, for the bell had already announced her presence, and one of the princess's lackeys was waiting at the door to usher her into the rooms beyond. "The princess is in the garden. Word has been sent to her," said a second lackey in the second room. Her position of uncertainty, of darkness, was just the same as at home. It was worse, rather, because she could not make any decision. She could not see Vronsky, and she was obliged to remain in the midst of strange and lively society, diametrically opposed to her. But she wore a toilet which she knew was very becoming. She was not alone. She was surrounded by that solemn atmosphere of indolence so familiar, and, on the whole, it was better to be there than at home. She would not be obliged to think what she would do. Things would arrange themselves. Betsy came to her in a white toilet of the most exquisite elegance, and she greeted her as usual with a smile. The Princess Tverskaya was accompanied by Tushkievich, and a young relative who, to the great delight of the provincial family to which she belonged, was spending the summer with the famous princess. Apparently, there was something unnatural in Anna's appearance, for Betsy immediately remarked upon it. "I did not sleep well," replied Anna, looking furtively at the lackey who was coming, as she supposed, to bring the Princess Vronsky's note. "How glad I am that you came," said Betsy. "I'm just up, and I should like to have a cup of tea before the others come. And you," she said, addressing Tushkievich, "I had better go to Moscow and try the croquette gros und, which has just been clipped. We'll have time to talk a little while taking our tea. We'll have a cozy chat, won't we?" She added in English, addressing Anna with a smile and taking her hand. "All the more willingly, because I can't stay long. I must call on old Vred. I made a promising for 100 years to come and see her," said Anna, to whom the lie, though contrary to her nature, seemed not only simple and easy, but even pleasurable. Why she had said a thing that she forgot the second after, she herself could not have told. She said it at haphazard, so that, in case Vronsky were not coming, she might have a way of escape and find him elsewhere. And why she happened to select the name of old Frelina Vrede rather than any of her acquaintances was likewise inexplicable. But as events proved, out of all the possible schemes for meeting Vronsky, this was the best. "No, I shall not let you go," replied Betsy, scrutinizing Anna's face. "Indeed, if I were not so fond of you, I should be tempted to be vexed with you. Anybody would think that you were afraid of my compromising you. Tea in the little salon, if you please. said she to the lackey, with a snap of her eyes such as was habitual with her, and taking the letter she began to read it. Alexei disappoints us. He writes that he cannot come, said she in French, and in a tone as simple and unaffected as though it had never entered her mind that Vronsky was of any more interest to Anna than as a possible partner in a game of croquet. Anna knew that Betsy knew all, but as she heard Betsy speak of him now, she almost brought herself to believe for a moment that she did not know. Ah, she said simply, as though it was a detail that did not interest her. How, she continued, still smiling, could your society compromise me? This manner of hiding a secret, this playing with words, had for Anna, as it has for all women, a great charm. And it was not the necessity of secrecy or the reason for secrecy, but the process itself that gave the pleasure. I cannot be more Catholic than the Pope, she said. Stremov and Liza Merkulova, they are the cream of society. They are received everywhere. But she laid special stress on the I have never been severe and intolerant. I simply haven't had the time. No, but perhaps you prefer not to meet Stremov. Let me break lances with Alexei Alexandrovitch in committee meetings. That does not concern us, but in society he is as lovely a man as I know, and a terrible hand at croquet. But you shall see him, and you must see how well he plays the absurd part of old lover to Liza. He's very charming. Don't you know Staffo Stoltz? She is the latest, absolutely the latest style. While Betsy was saying these words, Anna perceived by her joyous, intelligent eyes that she saw her embarrassment and was trying to put her at ease. They had gone into the little library. I must write a word to Alexei, and Betsy sat down at her writing table and hastily penned a few lines. Then she took out an envelope. I wrote him to come to dinner. One of my ladies has no partner. See if I am imperative enough. Excuse me if I leave you a moment. Please seal it and direct it. I have some arrangements to make. Without a moment's hesitation, Anna took Betsy's seat at the table and added these words to her note. I must see you without fail. Come to the Red Garden. I will be there at 6 o'clock. She sealed the letter, and Betsy, coming a moment later, dispatched it at once. The two ladies took their tea in the cool little salon and indeed had a cozy chat. They talked about the coming guests and expressed their judgments upon them, beginning with Liza Merkulova. She's very charming. I've always liked her, said Anna. You ought to like her. She adores you. Yesterday evening at the races she came to see me and was in despair not to find you. She says that you are a genuine heroine of a romance, and that if she were a man, she would commit 1,000 follies for your sake. Stremov told her she did that, even as she was. But explain to me one thing that I never understood, said Anna after a moment of silence, and in a tone that clearly showed that she did not ask an idle question, but that what she wanted explained was more serious than would appear. Explain to me, what are the relations between her and Prince Kalushki, the man which they call Mishka? I have rarely seen them together. What's their relation? A look of amusement came into Betsy's eyes, and she looked keenly at Anna. It's a new kind, she replied. All these ladies have adopted it. Yes, but what are her relations with Kalushki? Betsy, to Anna's surprise, broke into a gale of irresistible laughter. But you are trespassing on the Princess Miagaia's province. It is the question of an enfant terrible, said Betsy, trying in vain to restrain her gaiety, but again breaking out into that contagious laugh which is the peculiarity of people who rarely laugh. You must ask them, she at length managed to say, with tears running down her cheeks. Oh, you laugh, said Anna, in spite of herself, joining in her friend's amusement, but I've never been able to understand it at all, and I don't understand what role the husband plays. The husband? Liza Merkulova's husband carries her plaid and is always at her beck and call. But the real meaning of the affair no one cares to know. Are you going to Rolandaki's Frasnik? Said Anna, wishing to change the conversation. "I don't think so," replied Betsy, and not looking at her companion, she carefully poured the fragrant tea into little transparent cups. Then, having handed one to Anna, she rolled a cigarette, and putting it into a silver holder, she began to smoke. "You see, my position is the best," she began seriously, holding her cup in her hand. "I understand you, and I understand Liza. Liza is one of these naive, childlike natures who cannot distinguish between ill and good. At least she was so when she was young, but now she knows that this simplicity is becoming to her. Now perhaps she's naive on purpose," said Betsy with a cunning smile. "But all the same, it becomes her. You see, some people look on life from its tragic side and make themselves miserable, and others look on it simply, even gaily. Possibly you are inclined to look on things too tragically." "How I should like to know others as well as I know myself," said Anna with a serious and pensive look. "Am I worse than others, or better? Worse, I think. You are like a child, an enfant terrible," was Betsy's comment. "Ah, but here they are,